You and your buddies have planned a muskie trip to Northwestern Ontario to try and catch the elusive tiger muskie. We at 54 Bus love tiger muskies, and today we're going to go through a few things that I think will help you guys catch more tigers on your next Canadian muskie trip. Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Today it's all about tiger muskies. I thought it would be fun to look back at a few of the catches that we got last year. We've talked about all of these catches on previous videos, but it was interesting to go back and look at a few of them because I get a lot of questions through Messenger and through email about tiger muskies specifically, how it is that we catch so many, and how it is that guys that have been up to Canada a number of times have not caught one. Simply put, there's a reason why guys don't catch tiger muskies on most Canadian muskie trips. They don't fish waters that hold a high enough population of tiger muskies to be productive on that water. And I wrote an article for Joe Booker's Muskie 360 app, and I'll put a link in the description below. But I specifically talk about how to approach musky waters to catch a tiger. And the very first thing is you need to be on water that is known to have tiger muskies. I live right by Eagle Lake, and Eagle Lake is just not known to produce a number of tigers. While every year there's probably some very big ones caught, you don't get a lot on an average week. You don't hear about guys catching them. There's a lot of lakes around our area that are known to hold a lot of tigers, and that's where you need to start. So if we look at an overview of a map of our area and we start with some of the lakes that are known to hold tigers, we have Indian Lake Chain, has a high population of tiger muskies. Further down that system, you get into Canyon Lake, very high population of tiger muskies. Both of those lakes are not known to produce huge tigers, but there's a lot of tigers. Now, if we move further north, Cedar Lake and Parrot Lake both have tigers in them. And my personal best, or close to it, tiger has come from Cedar Lake, and we catch a bunch in Parrot. So just on those four water systems alone, that's a better bet to go to have a shot at catching a tiger. A lot of guys come up to Canada and their expectation is they want to catch 50-inch muskie, they want to catch a big tiger, and a lot of cases those two things don't go hand in hand. It might on a lake like Cedar or Parrot where you have a shot at both of them, but you need to be very truthful to yourself and plan your trip accordingly. If you're coming to Canada to catch a tiger muskie, look at one of the lakes that is known to have tigers and start there. That'll alleviate a lot of the pain of going home and not catching one and being disappointed. Time of year can be everything to catch a tiger muskie, and tigers are more aggressive by nature, and they carry that trait from the parent pike. So if you have an area where you have muskie and tiger muskie, the tiger muskies are generally going to be more aggressive, and when there's a lot of bait around, the tiger muskies can have a tendency to kind of push the purebred muskies out of that area a little bit. So in summertime, we'll fish current areas looking for active bait and areas that we know are going to hold muskies, and more specifically tiger muskies. Now, unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of good video from last year of open water, deep water areas where we were catching tigers. So next year, we're hoping to have better footage of that. But I touch on it because that leads into the fall, and a lot of those tigers will stay in deeper current areas all year long. And the best time of year to catch a tiger in Northwestern Ontario, in my opinion, is come up when the sucker bite is on in the fall. And any given lake that has tigers, they're going to be so aggressive in the fall. Our first example is us sucker rigging in the fall, and this is a current area where water's dumping through along the rail system, and we're only a couple minutes into our day and Dave gets hooked up on a nice fish right off the get-go. And again, it's basically getting the bait down in front of the fish, and while there's no guarantees it's going to be a tiger, your odds are a lot higher that you're going to catch one of these.
Did it yet? So we're gonna get him back in here. Get a good picture of his cheek, Kai.
Good colors. It is a lot harder to catch an open water midsummer tiger. You can't predict exactly where they're going to be in any given water system. And these lakes I'm talking about probably have a 10% population or maybe a 20% in some cases. So a fish that's already hard to catch, it's even harder to catch a tiger. But we go into some of these areas kind of knowing historically where we've seen populations of tigers. And this next clip, we've talked about it in the video here, but I just thought it was fun to look back, and we weren't specifically going to this area to catch a tiger, but we have seen tigers in this area because there's deep water close by and it's not too far from a current area. So we'll run the clip and I'll talk about it a little bit after. Here, Kenzie, grab this, reel it in.
$43.5 to back, kiddo.
43 and a half?
Yeah. This guy will be easy to recognize. Look at his snout on this poor guy. Look at his nose.
Oh yeah, he's got...
Hey, kitty, look out, please.
He's got a stub nose for sure on this one. Pretty recognizable fish. Kenzie's gonna get a couple pictures here.
Hurry up, kiddo, please.
One of the keys with this catch was, again, that aggressive nature of the tiger muskies. I moved a muskie on the front side of this rock reef weed system, and it come in lazy, and it was classic bluebird skies. It was just not great muskie conditions, and I had a lazy follow, and we were almost going to give up on the day, and we thought, no, let's roll around behind here. And because of that aggressive nature of the tiger, Dave probably got that bait close by, and that tiger just chased it down and hit him way out on the end of the cast right after I had a muskie lazy follow right to the boat. So that kind of showed us that those tigers, given the right conditions, given the right spot, will just act more aggressively than a regular muskie. That leads me right into my next clip, which again is sucker rigging, which we do just a lot of, and anybody that's watched our videos knows that. But this is an area that we do fish in the summer. It's got a lot of current pushing down in here. We see a lot of bait all season long, and we'll cast this. And this is a deep water trough. We're talking 40, 45 feet deep, but we'll go in there in the summer, cast rubber, try and get it down deeper into these steep breaking lines. And it would be a spot that we would cast in the summer, and it's just a continuation into the fall because the bait moves in. And on this given day, I had just lost a nice tiger, and I believe this was the same fish that I had him hooked up. It come off on a sucker, and then we were able to hook it back up with the other rod just by seeing the fish on the graph, and I dropped that sucker right to him. That's not the same fish.
We're recording.
Yeah, he's got a little stubby nose. All right, so what just happened there is,
Oh yeah, he does there.
we lost the one. There's the end, boys. We just lost the one boat side, and we were just gonna move and head out to go trolling. Got a little mark on his tail. Rich and I seen a mark on the graph, and I just put, actually Dave's rod, I put the sucker down, and this guy comes straight up, Rich? Hit it right away, and there was really not much you could do about it. He was going. Again, that big takeaway right there is aggressive nature. Never give up on a fish. If you get a tiger muskie that follows, which rarely ever happens, they usually hit further out from the boat. But if you have one that comes in, or we see one on a sucker rig, we always try to stay on that fish because they're usually so aggressive they'll come back and hit again. In my muskie article for Muskie 360, I talked about those transition points from deep water to a shallower structure and how the tigers will sit off of it. This is one of our better catches from last summer, and while I caught him way up in the weeds, it's very close to that transition line that breaks down into the deeper basin. Big pipe. So, yeah, it's a beautiful...
They want to see.
Big tiger!
Is this waterproof?
It's always nice to... Catching fish like that, right up in the weeds again, you can't predict what's going to be in there. But again, this was a spot for us that we've known to hold nice fish, big fish, and the guys at camp had been talking about seeing a tiger close by. So again, going back to that aggressive nature, get in there, cast aggressive lures at them. We were able to pull out a really big tiger. Was one of the highlights of our year last year. Tiger muskies are almost certainly on everybody's bucket list of a fish to catch. And while there's areas that you can go, like St. Clair, where you're going to get those huge ones, which is great, and I would like to go get one of those, there's something special about coming to Northwestern Ontario and catching one of these naturally produced tigers up here. They're so rare, they're so aggressive, they're so much fun to catch. Not that we take it for granted, because it's not lost on us that we catch so many, and it's so much fun to catch them, and it's cool to see them progress, because a lot of them we get when they're smaller, and we get to re-catch them and see some of these fish grow over the years. But the easiest way for you guys, if you're planning your muskie trip, is make sure you're going to the right lake. And if it's a new lake to you, hire a guide that can get you on the water and help show you some of the areas. And if I could give you guys one piece of advice, if you want to catch a tiger this year, come up in the fall when the sucker bite is on, and you guys will have a great chance at catching a tiger.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty fish.
Yeah, it's a good looking tiger. He's actually pretty heavy.
He's thick. Like he's wide. Yeah, nice.